Welcome to Ace My Exams Learning. Let us get started with today's learning.
The diagram below represents a type of visual defect. Question: identify part F. Part F in the diagram represents the sclera. The sclera is the tough, white outer layer of the eye that provides protection to the more delicate structures within the eye. It also maintains the shape of the eyeball, allowing the eye to retain its form and function properly. Question: state one function of part B. Part B, identified as the choroid, plays a crucial role in the eye's visual function by absorbing light that enters the eye, thus preventing internal reflection. This ensures that light does not bounce around inside the eye, which could distort the images that are formed. Additionally, the choroid contains many blood vessels that supply nutrients and oxygen to the retina and other parts of the eye. Question: explain why the light rays must focus on part D rather than on part E. Light rays must focus on part D, which is the retina, because it contains the photoreceptor cells, rods and cones, responsible for detecting light and converting it into neural signals that are sent to the brain. If light were to focus on part E, the optic disc, no visual image would form, as this area lacks photoreceptors, making it a blind spot. The optic disc is where the optic nerve exits the eye, and while essential for vision, it is not involved in the direct processing of light. Question: name the type of lens that is used to correct the visual defect shown in the diagram. The visual defect shown in the diagram is corrected using a biconcave lens. This type of lens is used to correct nearsightedness, myopia, by diverging light rays before they enter the eye, helping to refocus them on the retina. Question: describe how the type of lens named in the question above corrects the visual defect. A biconcave lens corrects the visual defect by diverging, or spreading out, the incoming light rays before they enter the eye. This adjustment allows the light to be properly focused on the retina, instead of focusing in front of it, which is the cause of blurry vision in individuals with myopia. By redirecting the light to the correct focal point, the image becomes clear. Question: explain one way in which part C is structurally suited for accommodation. Part C, the lens, is structurally suited for accommodation because it is highly elastic. This elasticity allows the lens to change shape, becoming thicker or thinner depending on whether the eye is focusing on near or distant objects. When viewing objects that are close, the lens becomes more rounded to increase its refractive power, while for distant objects, the lens flattens out to reduce refraction and focus the light properly. Question: name the two muscles found in part G. The two muscles found in part G, which is the iris, are the radial muscles and the circular muscles. These muscles work together to control the size of the pupil. The radial muscles contract to dilate the pupil, allowing more light into the eye in dim lighting, while the circular muscles contract to constrict the pupil in bright light, reducing the amount of light that enters. Question: name and describe the visual defect that occurs when part A is uneven. When part A, the cornea, is uneven, the visual defect known as astigmatism occurs. In this condition, light rays are refracted unevenly due to the irregular curvature of the cornea, leading to blurred or distorted vision. This uneven refraction prevents light from focusing properly on the retina, resulting in a scattered or unfocused image. Astigmatism can affect both near and distant vision, depending on the severity of the corneal irregularity. Read the extract below and answer the following questions. Auxins can be used as selective herbicides. Auxins stimulate plant growth, however, a high concentration of auxins may cause the plant to grow too fast. The plant is not able to sustain this rapid growth and as a result, it will die. Farmers spray artificially manufactured auxins onto the surface of weeds to kill them. This type of herbicide, weed killer, is selective, as it kills mainly the broad-leafed dicotyledonous plants without having any effect on narrow-leafed monocotyledonous plants, such as wheat, maize and grass. Auxin-based herbicides are more environmentally friendly. Other herbicides may kill some organisms, and the chemicals from these herbicides accumulate in the food chains, thus disturbing the ecosystems. Question: state one way in which auxins cause growth in plants. Auxins stimulate plant growth primarily by promoting cell elongation. They do this by loosening the cell walls, allowing the cells to expand. This elongation occurs mostly in the shoots, enabling plants to grow taller and orient towards light, a process known as phototropism. Auxins also play a crucial role in root development and the overall regulation of plant growth. Question: explain why farmers would want to kill the weeds in their fields. Farmers aim to kill weeds in their fields to reduce competition for vital resources such as water, nutrients, sunlight, and space. Weeds often grow more aggressively than crops, consuming essential resources and hindering crop development. By eliminating weeds, farmers ensure that crops receive the necessary resources to thrive, leading to better yields and more efficient use of agricultural land. Additionally, removing weeds helps prevent pests and diseases that may spread from weeds to crops. Question: according to the extract, state one disadvantage of using herbicides that are not auxin-based. A key disadvantage of using non-auxin-based herbicides is that they may harm other organisms within the ecosystem. These herbicides can kill non-target species and accumulate in the food chain, potentially disrupting ecological balance. The chemicals used in such herbicides could persist in the environment, leading to long-term ecological damage, such as affecting beneficial insects, soil microorganisms, or even animals higher up in the food chain. Question: give one reason for using auxin-based herbicides instead of physically removing the weeds. Using auxin-based herbicides is more labor-efficient and time-saving compared to physically removing weeds. When physically removing weeds, it is possible to leave behind parts of the weed, such as the roots, which may allow the weed to regrow. Auxin-based herbicides, on the other hand, kill the entire plant, including the roots, preventing regrowth and reducing the need for repetitive weeding. This method also minimizes labor costs and time spent on manually removing weeds, allowing farmers to focus on other agricultural activities. Question: explain why the farmer should not use an auxin-based herbicide in her field. The farmer should avoid using an auxin-based herbicide if a field contains both maize and beans because the herbicide is selective, targeting broad-leaved dicotyledonous plants like beans while sparing monocotyledonous plants such as maize. If used, the herbicide would kill the beans, leading to significant crop loss. Since beans are a valuable part of the crop, using this type of herbicide would not only reduce yield, but also negatively impact the farmer's income. Therefore, it's crucial for the farmer to consider the types of crops planted before applying auxin-based herbicides to avoid unintended damage to the crops. Livestock farming contributes to approximately 14.6% of all global greenhouse gas emissions released into the atmosphere. The graph below shows the global greenhouse gas emissions of different types of livestock. Question: name the livestock farming that contributes the least to greenhouse gas emissions. The livestock farming that contributes the least to greenhouse gas emissions is sheep and goats. Based on the data provided, sheep and goats emit fewer greenhouse gases compared to other livestock such as cattle, pigs, and poultry. This makes them a more environmentally friendly option when considering greenhouse gas emissions. Question: give one advantage of greenhouse gases. One advantage of greenhouse gases is that they help to trap heat energy, which keeps the Earth warm enough to sustain life. Without greenhouse gases, the Earth's surface would be too cold, and it would not be able to support the diverse ecosystems that exist today. Question: calculate how much more greenhouse gases are emitted by cattle compared to all other types of livestock combined. Show all your workings. To calculate how much more greenhouse gases are emitted by cattle compared to all other types of livestock combined, we follow these steps. Step 1. Identify the emissions of each livestock type. From the data provided, we have the following greenhouse gas emissions for different livestock. 1. Cattle, 4,623 million tons. 2. Pigs, 668 million tons. 3. Poultry, 684 million tons. 4. Sheep and goats, 474 million tons. Step 2. Add the emissions of pigs, poultry, sheep, and goats to find the total emissions from all livestock except cattle. Therefore 668 plus 684 plus 474 is equal to 1,826 million tons. Step 3. Subtract the total emissions of other livestock from cattle emissions. To find how much more cattle emit than the combined emissions of the other livestock, we subtract the total emissions of pigs, poultry, sheep, and goats from the emissions of cattle. Therefore 4,623 minus 1,826 is equal to 2,797 million tons. Thus, cattle emit 2,797 million tons more greenhouse gases than all other livestock combined. Question: name one other source of methane. One other significant source of methane is landfills. As organic waste decomposes anaerobically in landfills, methane is produced and released into the atmosphere, contributing to greenhouse gas emissions. Question: explain why an increase in livestock farming may lead to global warming. An increase in livestock farming leads to global warming because more greenhouse gases, particularly methane and carbon dioxide, are released into the atmosphere. These gases trap more heat, resulting in an enhanced greenhouse effect, which increases global temperatures and accelerates climate change. A factory was built on the banks of a river close to a fishing village. The factory used water from the river to cool down the machinery. The water was then released back into the river, causing thermal pollution. Question: what is thermal pollution? Thermal pollution refers to a change in the normal temperature of an aquatic ecosystem. When industries release hot water into water bodies, it disrupts the natural temperature, which can have several harmful effects on the environment. Question: describe how thermal pollution affects the water quality. Thermal pollution lowers the oxygen content in the water, which is essential for the survival of aquatic life. Additionally, it can cause algal blooms and increase the number of bacteria in the water, further reducing water quality. The decline in oxygen levels and the presence of harmful organisms make the water less habitable for fish and other species, negatively impacting the overall ecosystem. Question: suggest one way in which the factory can reduce thermal pollution. One way to reduce thermal pollution is by storing the hot water until it cools down before releasing it into the river. Alternatively, the cooled water can be reused to cool down the machinery in the factory, or fans and other technologies can be used to help with cooling the machinery. Question: how will thermal pollution affect the fishermen in the village, economically? The warm water from thermal pollution may cause fish to die or migrate away from the area, leading to a loss of income for the fishermen. With fewer fish in the river, fishermen will catch less, affecting their livelihood. Question: suggest, with a reason, the impact that the factory's closure during the COVID-19 lockdown would have had on the biodiversity in Area B. During the factory's closure, biodiversity in the area likely increased. Since no hot water was released into the river during the lockdown, the water temperature would have remained stable, promoting the recovery of aquatic species and improving the overall health of the ecosystem.
To access more learning and exam preparation materials, go to www.acemyexams.coza. This link is also in the video description below. Thank you for watching this video. Remember to subscribe and be the first to know when we upload new videos.